Hey everybody, Dr. John Michael Salvato, and we are on day 23 of the 200-day Mindshift Mastery Series. And today, Amanda is going to be a little bit late getting here because she is taking care of her daughter. So our thoughts and prayers go out to Ginny, who's in the hospital at the moment, as well as to Deb, who's still struggling with pneumonia. Been going on for, I guess, about 5 or 6 weeks now. So our thoughts and prayers are with both of them and with their families. And we're going to go ahead and get started today. Our discussion topic today was habituation. And habituation has a tremendous impact, excuse me, not only on our personal lives, but also on our business lives, on our relationships to our community. And really the concept is this, that habituation is, which can be a positive or a negative experience, but habituation starts by doing something today, and whether we do it with or without mindfulness, tomorrow doing whatever that is a little bit easier, and the next day it's a little bit easier. So we'll put this in sort of a perspective of looking at our business. For most people, if you're involved with a company that brings a product to the marketplace at a fair price. And when I say a fair price, I mean that it should be at or below grocery store prices, at or below your local market prices. And so let me go ahead. Hey, Amanda. Okay, the control room app may or may not work on your side. I don't want to add additional apps to this Hangout when Google is running so slow, and my computer is running even slower. Actually, it looks like that stopped my computer from working. Okay, let me see if I can stop it. All right. So guys, when you join the Hangout, don't add any apps to the Hangout, because then it tries to add them on my end as well. Computer is driving me crazy. I've got to go 4 more weeks. I've given myself a 4-week window to decide what computer we're going to replace this with, so that we can bring you guys a lot better video streaming. But I want to. We're talking about habituation. We're talking about, and we'll put it in perspective to your business. Now, if you're with a company, as I started to say, that has fairly priced products that actually perform well. Products that compete with grocery stores, local department stores, or online retailers, and then you've got the right products. But if you're not making 5 to 10 contacts every single day, and you're not making 5 calls every single day, then your business isn't going to grow. Well, maybe today you say, oh, you know what? I'm just so busy. I got to take the kids to soccer practice, and this house is a mess, and I got to clean the house, and I've got to do this, and I've got to do that. I'm just not going to be able to get to my calls today. Now that doesn't mean that, a great example right now is that Amanda has a family member in the hospital. Circumstances. So when I talk about habituation, we're not talking about when life happens. There will be times that something gets thrown into the wheels of your daily method of operation. And it's great to be able to have that flexibility to do something about it. But when I hear people say, "Oh, I refuse to focus on creating a daily method of operation because I don't like schedules and I do this on my terms," that's fine. But look at the results you're getting in your life. And if your business is not growing exponentially every single month, it's because there's no discipline. And discipline requires, whether we like it or not, discipline requires having a schedule and following that schedule. So your schedule can be very flexible. Piece of paper that says, today I will make 10 calls. Today I will watch a 15-minute personal development video. Today I will make 4 presentations, and then you can have no times on that schedule, and you just make sure that before the day is over, that schedule. But let's say that there's a day and you say, "Oh, I'm just not going to do it today. I don't feel like it," or this happened or that happened. Well, tomorrow what's going to happen is it's going to be a little bit easier for you to push off making those 5 calls. It's going to be a little bit easier for you to find a new excuse for why you're too busy. And then come the following day, it's going to be even easier still. So habituation actually, yields, significant results, significant fruits, if you will. Same thing happens with relationships. If there's a problem with a relationship and there's some resentments that you're beginning to harbor with another person, or toward another person, if you talk about them today, you've planted seeds of reconciliation. Particularly if we're going to talk about effective communication on a future session, but particularly if they're not judgmental and not accusatory conversations. You could say, hey, this made me feel this way. I don't know what your intention was. I need to share with you that our conversation made me feel, however, no judgments there. But tell me a little bit about what you were thinking when you said that, and what you intended and what you were hoping as an outcome. That you allow the resentments to be harbored. You allow the resentments to grow, and you don't deal with the problem. Tomorrow, it's going to be harder to deal with that problem than it was yesterday. And it's going to be easier to push that off. And the next day, it's going to be even easier to push that off. And before you know it, a month will have gone by and you won't have dealt with that problem. And now that resentment has begun to completely deteriorate that relationship. And in some cases, that relationship may become irreparably damaged. In your spiritual life, it's so easy, as I talked about on the video, which was actually part of one of my my teachings from a couple years ago, and it focused primarily on spiritual practice. If you don't do your spiritual practice today because you got busy, time got away from you, you were trying to make more calls, you were whatever the excuse, the 15 minutes to work on your spiritual practice today, tomorrow it's going to be easier to not work on that spiritual practice. And before long, that part of your life is degraded too. So remember when we talked last week, we talked about the 6 dimensions of wellness. If you neglect any one of those dimensions of wellness, through habituation, then you're going to become unevenly yoked. Your life is not going to produce the kind of results that are what we call peak performance. And you're not going to be cultivating what I call primary greatness in your life. So I don't know if Amanda is in a place where it's okay for her to communicate right now. And so if that's the case, Amanda, and you want to jump in, feel free to do so. Without having any other guests on the call today, if Amanda's not in a place where she can talk and share a little bit, we'll wrap up a little bit earlier today. But I really want to encourage you guys to take a look at the things that you're doing today, and then take a look at the things you're not doing today, and ask yourself if there are holes in your daily method of operation. Is your 6 dimensions of wellness unbalanced right now? And make a decision, and then take action on that decision to restore that balance, to do just one thing in each one of those dimensions every single day. If you think about this, there are 6 dimensions of wellness. If you took 10 minutes of every day focusing on one of those 6 dimensions of wellness, that's a total of an hour. And if you're somebody who doesn't like to work by a schedule and you're busy rebelling against discipline, 10 minutes a day, 6 times a day, whatever hour you want. I have to push you guys and confront you when I'm hearing self-imposed limitations and bullshit and ego. And if you are not willing to work your business like a business, expect business results. If you're not willing to treat your business like a business, then don't expect business income. It's really that simple. So these do require discipline. These do require saying, I'm going to make a commitment to schedule. I've had some people say, I have no structure at all in my life. Well, if you have no structure at all in your life, don't expect any results in your life. Expect nothing but chaos. Because habituation has created that chaos in your life. Because you do actually have structure. When you choose not to have any formal structure, the structure you have in your life is called chaos. The results you have in your business is called chaos. The results in your relationships are called chaos. It's when you make that decision through habituation that you're going to use habit in a positive way. that you're going to build results every day, that you start to get those positive results in your life, in every aspect of your life. So take 10 minutes a day and work on each one of those 6 dimensions of wellness, and put it on a schedule if you have to put it on a schedule, or put it on a piece of paper if you're afraid of schedules, and deal with each one of those dimensions for 10 minutes. The results will be absolutely astounding. So I am, and for those who are watching who don't know, who I know Ita said she's watching on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, that means that you that means that on YouTube you clicked on the link in the blog, and if you're trying to watch this from the blog, you're going to just watch it. You're not going to be able to click live. If you clicked on the live link in the Facebook group and you're logged into Google, you should be able to watch this and participate live. It's that simple. There is no in between. You either click on the live link in Facebook, and it'll take you into Google Hangouts, or you click on the link in the blog. The blog is never going to take you in here to a live seat. The blog is actually a replay. So anybody want to jump in there? I know we hear the monitors in the background at the hospital, so I think, Amanda, you were getting ready to jump in.
Yeah, I'm going to apologize for the noise. It's just something that happens.
That's hospitals.
But yeah, true. For me, I'm a very schedule-oriented person. It's just part of my makeup. It's how I operate the best. And I find that when I don't have a schedule, that it's easier for me to allow those daily distractions to keep me from doing what I need to do in order to grow my business. You and I just recently had a conversation about this because of just how I'm wired. Like up here, I came up here, came to the hospital, brought my laptop, fully committed to working and everything, but then you have the whole internet issue. And my conflict is that a distraction? Is that an excuse? Or is that, as you put it, just life happening? And so that's where I'm at in trying to deal with not being able to get the things done business-wise, but because of the business that I have, it allows me that flexibility to take care of my family where I need to. Right. And I think that's where people get confused many times.
Absolutely. And my suggestion would be, in a situation like that, and I've, in recent months, I've had those situations. Craig was in the hospital for 2 surgeries, 1 month followed by 2 months of recovery, followed by major knee replacement surgery in December. And so that, I was dealing with that in my own life. And what I find is that's where it really pays, first of all, to have a coach and a mentor, and to have a daily method of operation that is varied enough that allows you to do some of those things that you can do when you're in a hospital, where you may not be able to do video chat, where you may not, and I commend you, by the way, for jumping on this chat at the hospital. Excuse me, that's not something that everybody would do, and not right or wrong for those who would choose not to do it. But you're really kind of solidifying your commitment and saying, I can make this work no matter what life throws at me. And so what I did when Craig was in the hospital, because the hospital wouldn't allow a live video chat, it had a threshold on the bandwidth, was I just I made calls, and I would slide dial folks. I would go down to the cafeteria, which unfortunately was on the basement level, so we didn't get cell phone signals, and I would queue up a bunch of emails to go out. And then I go upstairs in the lobby and let the emails go. So you can always do some of those daily activities, always remembering that balance is so important. And when somebody's in the hospital, a loved one's in the hospital, first things first, we be present to those people in the hospital. And so I commend you for what you're doing, and I commend the fact that I know you are keeping first things first. and making sure that your daughter is your number one priority, because that's as it should be. Somebody else want to jump in and share a little bit about your perspective about this idea of habituation and how habit affects your results in your life, your peak performance?
For me personally, I've talked about it before, where everyone in my house knows at 9 o'clock that laundry is going on, whether you put your stuff in or not. The dishwasher, the bathrooms are going to be done, the beds are going to be made, and the living room. I vacuum the living room. After that, they know at 1 o'clock I'm going to be on the chat. That means the toddler's getting lunch. That way he can sit in his high chair and I can get things done. 2 o'clock he takes a nap and I write. After that, again, it's kind of free flow. What needs to be done. This is the time where we go to the park or play outside. Do arts and crafts kind of thing. But then again, at 5 o'clock, dinner's getting done. 6 o'clock, we're eating. 7 o'clock, cleaning up. 8 o'clock, toddler in the bath. I have to be like that, or else nothing will get done, and I'm completely aware of that in my personality.
Sure, sure. And I got to commend you, because a little earlier today you posted something on your Facebook wall that today was Zone 1 day, and you shared, and I love this, that you shared what that means for you, and that it's part of making sure that you've got curb appeal, making sure that people are really welcomed, and it was just another sign to me of another person who understands that habituation can be used in a very powerful way to create results in our lives. And like I said before, guys, this doesn't mean that you have to if for whatever reason your ego is resisting using a schedule, then just listen to what Jen said, what Amanda said, and imagine that on a piece of paper that doesn't have a schedule on it. And there are some days that, because of everything that's going on, particularly when Craig was in the hospital, I couldn't put a time on my schedule. So I did work from a piece of paper that had a list on it, that just said, this is what I have to accomplish today. And I'm going to accomplish these things whenever those time slots free up, because I didn't know when he was going to be in surgery. I didn't know when tests were going to be done. As a physician, I wanted to be part of that process, and wanted to be able to ask questions of the different medical professionals. So there was no way I was going to put it on a schedule, and then when the doctor walks in, I'm supposed to be on a call, so now I have to blow off the call. So instead, I did things that could be flexible in that day, and I knew that those things had to get done, and they pretty much followed my normal daily schedule. But if you don't have that structure, you don't get those results, and there's no way around it. There's no when a person tells me, well, there's just no structure in my life, that means that person isn't ready for success. They haven't made a firm commitment or a decision that they want to succeed. They don't want it badly enough, and they're operating out of fear. Because when you don't have structure in your life, you're afraid of what structure in your life is going to bring. And we're going to talk about that on Friday's Inner Alchemy. We're going to address this issue of fear and why fears arise in our lives sometimes, and why those self-imposed limitations arise in our lives sometimes. Sandy, I don't know if you're on the road, or you're just listening in, or you're on your computer, or what, but you want to jump in there?
Sure. I was listening on the Mindshift site, and I didn't have my camera up, and I thought, oh well, I can, but you can't participate there. So then I flipped over here. So I've heard everything. I just made a couple notes as you were talking. This discipline when you're a home worker is probably the #1 goal that you need to achieve. In 1980, I started working from my home. I don't know, I've got some feedback. I don't know what's causing that, but maybe you do. That meant that every morning I got up, I got a shower, I treated it as if I was going to work. Because this was my work. This was not a place that I came down and got on the computer and then went back at 10 o'clock, took a shower and came down, and all of a sudden now it's, oh my gosh, it's 11:30 and I haven't got jack done. So that, I think once you develop that discipline as if this, whatever you're doing is your job, and going to your computer is your office, that feedback is driving me crazy.
Yeah, it's because you don't have a headset on.
Oh, is that it? Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I'll work on that.
The
Uh,
rest of us don't hear. The rest of us don't hear it, so it's just
oh,
a
good, good.
distraction for
Okay, well,
you.
that's good. And anyway, I just want, that was the most important thing I think you can learn. If you work from home, treat it as your job. Do what Jennifer said. Have a schedule, follow that schedule, and keep to that schedule. Secondly, I couldn't agree with you more that it's important to have a mentor or a coach. Even if you don't do it in a formal method, read the books of how to improve yourself. Go to free Microsoft, for instance, Apple, for instance. They have free tutorials online, and you can learn everything you want to learn about every program almost. And then we have someone like you being a coach, mentor, who teaches what we don't know and what we don't have access to. So that's a very, very important part if you truly are going to achieve. And then this 5-letter word called chaos. That is a word that we all get caught up in because our lives are chaotic. It comes to us just like everyone has said. You know, there is things that come into our life. Sitting in a hospital is not a fun thing to do. That takes a lot of discipline to continue to work. The things that you said, you continue to work. I have 3 businesses I'm running at one time. And now my daughter says, Mom, you got to come help me for 2 weeks because I don't have anyone to stay with Hannah because she gets out of school early. Well, then I have to work that into my schedule. So eliminating that chaos, I'll just tell you what works for me. I have to stay in the moment. I have to stay in the now. If I stay right now, then I'm not worried about what's going to happen the next 2 weeks of my life when I'm not here physically sitting behind my computer, because I have tablets, I have phones, and I'm never away from it no matter where I am. So I can continue my business all over the world. And I have. I've traveled abroad and had tablets and little mini computers with me, and I was able to maintain my business right there. And my real estate business, it can go on. The listings I have and that I'm working right now, guess what? They're with me. They're wherever I am. And the other part of it is me. And so I think this is very important because if you're not disciplined, you'll never be successful in any business that you're in or in life.
Right on. You know, I think you really captured the essence of why this is so important. And it's not, you know, when we share things that push people's buttons, you know, I always like to say if you're feeling like your buttons are being pushed, or you're kind of feeling your inner self trying to push against this and say no, 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 you have to ask why. Why that resistance? What's the ego trying to prevent from happening? Because every single person that's in this group deserves nothing short of stellar success. Because the very fact that you're especially those who participate every day, you know, you're making a commitment to improve the trajectory of your life, and that means that more than anything else, you deserve to succeed. But everybody who's even just watching the videos every day, or who just goes to the blog and checks it out after work, you know, they deserve success because you've made the commitment to improve yourself. And so if you're feeling yourself push back, ask yourself why. What's the biggest fear that you might have? For some people, the fear is what might happen if they actually do succeed. And so I just wanted to share that with you guys today. I want to really encourage you guys, because of what's coming up in the curriculum, to take a look at what your daily habits are, to see if that habituation is snowballing into a pattern of excuses, snowballing into a pattern of inactivity and lack of results, or if, as you heard these 3 ladies share today on the program, if those habits are good, solid habits, habits that produce results every single day. You know, one of the things that Larry Thompson used to say was, you know, a brick at a time, a day at a time. That's how we build our business, and that's how we bring value to the marketplace. Is a brick at a time, a day at a time. So many people. I think Mike was talking on his video yesterday or today about how there's there's no shortcut to building that know, like, and trust relationship with somebody. You have to go through the process, and so many people in their business they want instant results online, and they've been lied to by so many home business opportunities and companies that do work from home, telecommuter companies, that oh, hey, if you work online it's easy, we have an autopilot system and it does all the work for you. Guys, just understand once and for all, that's bullshit. There is no, the only autopilot systems that exist out there are autopilot systems created by guys who are making their money selling autopilot systems. So think about that for a minute. It's the new snake oil. What really works is building relationships, and relationships, look at the relationships in your own life. Look at your primary relationships. Did those happen overnight, or did you have to work on them every single day? And the longer you were together, the harder you had to work on them to really maintain that integrity. It's not because relationships are bad, it's because relationships take work. Relationships are a journey that you take together. Nobody gets to the top of a mountain by taking 3 steps. They get there by taking a step at a time, a moment at a time. And as Sandy said, you stay in that moment. And when there's times that you need to pause and you need to rest and you need to regroup, you do that. And then when it's time to take that next step, you've got that energy to be able to do that. You heard that in a story that Jen shared about her daily schedule. There's structure in that schedule, and that structure also allows her to have those moments to pull it all together and make sure that the next step takes place. If she didn't do that, then the kids might be asking to go out and play when she's making dinner. The little one might need to to get a bath while she's writing. There would be just chaos in their lives, and chaos is an example of living your life from a place of fear. Chaos doesn't happen when you're living in the moment, because there is no chaos in the moment. There's chaos all around you when you're in the moment. You can see chaos happening everywhere around you, but if you come back to the moment, you're in that little cocoon that's safe and calm and assured. And so that's the idea. My encouragement for you guys today as we wrap up this 30-minute session is to stay in the moment and to look at the 6 dimensions of wellness and spend at least 10 minutes every single day making sure that every one of those dimensions in your life has balance. Making sure that you're doing one thing every single day to ensure that there's a wholesomeness, a health to that dimension in your life. And if you do that, your life becomes more vibrant. It becomes more healthy. It becomes more wholesome. And I'll wrap this up with the best example I can give you. Go back and look at the videos from the past week when I made a decision that in order to help somebody, I was going to have to stop taking my meds for a few days. And for 4 days, I progressively got sicker and sicker and sicker. What happened in that moment, and this was a lesson for me, I'm not going to lie and say that I would have chosen any differently, because I really did feel that at that time the best thing I could do was to help these folks. If it was my health or seeing somebody else eat, I'm always going to make sure that the other person eats, because I trust that I have the skills to regain my health. Somebody who doesn't eat, especially when they're elderly, may not have those skills. But I definitely learned that the effect of habituation it happens even when we're not consciously engaging in a habit. The habit of taking care of myself, the habit of taking my medication at the right times, the habit of being able to get out. See, it's a snowball. I didn't have my meds, so the Parkinson's issues got worse. So I wasn't able to get out and walk, and I wasn't able to do my yoga because the diaphragm wasn't working properly, so I wasn't breathing deeply. And then, by day 4, when I sat down and tried to eat, I choked on my food, and that's a very frightening experience. So I made the decision that I wasn't going to wait any longer. I was going to borrow the money and get my medication. I wasn't going to wait for my commissions to get here to get my medication. And that's just a simple example of how even when we don't think it's habit, that those things that we're doing in our lives, our daily method of operation, impacts other areas of our life. Because my health went down, because I couldn't function properly, my effectiveness as a coach went down. My ability to deal with stressors went down in dealing with relationships with people. My interaction with the community around me went down. My spiritual practice suffered because I couldn't sit and do Kundalini yoga because I couldn't breathe. And so all of the 6 dimensions of wellness were impacted by one decision, one imbalance in my daily life. And I assure you that the same thing happens in your life every single day. So take a few minutes today and take a look at that. If you're not getting the results that you want, then you have to. I had a conversation with somebody yesterday, and she was telling me how difficult life has been for her, how she can't afford to pay the electric bill, how her family struggles to put food on the table, and then she explained to me the 42 different network marketing companies that she's involved in. Seriously, about 5 or 6 companies she's involved in right now, and then she's pitching me to join the next great thing that's coming along. A company that's selling private labeled products that are. I said, look, here's a great example. The flagship product of your company is an arginine product. That's a fantastic formula. I take it every single day of my life because it's what helped me to prevent a heart attack, 6 or 8 months ago. It really is a powerful formula. But let me tell you something. I pay $39, including shipping, direct from the manufacturer for that product. You are peddling that product for $70, and it's attached to a binary compensation plan, and there has never been a binary compensation plan in the history of this industry that has survived. Even the highest sale records for companies like Mona V, the binary compensation plan killed their company. And I said, so you want to know why you're not getting results in your life? You keep adding you keep throwing bad money after good. And so if you don't change the things you're doing, you can't expect new results. Look at your own life. If you can't get the results that you want, then you need to change something in your life. Jim Rohn said, for things to change, you've got to change. For things to get better, you've got to get better. So take some time today to make sure that balance is there. Know that I'm here if you need somebody to give you some feedback on what you're doing. Deep within yourself right now, you know if you're in the right place. You know if you're engaging in the right activities every single day. But sometimes it helps to have sort of a feedback board to bounce things off of. Remember, I'm here just to reflect back to you the things that inside you already know. So guys, stay in the moment. Be grateful for what you've got. And always remember the best is yet to come. Thanks for being with us, and we'll talk to you guys later.